Hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Worth It Then Worth It Now, an ongoing side project I run here where I look at games from yesteryear, 10 plus years removed, usually on sale. This is an exception of exceptions, being that, I've been mired in spreadsheets and looking at all the games in my library from that time period. There sits a certain little segment of delisted classics, which I don't really have any format, formally, any series that I can cover them in, so stuff it, I'm just going to do it here. So today we're talking about Transformers War for Cybertron, which is in fact delisted. I don't think you can get it. I mean, you'd probably have to sail the seas. Given that I think it was delisted because it was Activision losing rights to Transformers, so pretty big swingers in the first place. I don't know if you're even going to see someone like GOG do a revival or what have you, just because of the licensing rights involved and why it got delisted in the first instance. It wasn't just this and its sequel, but I think like Transformers Devastation, I think all things Transformers expired actually, so a relic of the past, but I still have it in my library and as such I can still play it. So, I will take a chance to have a chat about it in a talk, and I don't know, maybe I'll figure out some way to fit things like this in more regularly, or even GOG actually. I look at GOG and what they're doing with the good old game system, and I wonder if maybe that's something I could do a segment on. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Transformers War for Cybertron. Initially, it came out in 2010, right? And High Moon did it, and I think the other nail in the coffin was this is part of a trilogy, I believe. And the second one it was well received. I don't actually think I have it on Steam. I might have played it on console, I can't be quite sure. But while losing the rights is a pretty big blow to Transformers full stop, I think the Rise of the Darkspark, or the third one, I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, deviated pretty hard. It went kind of more Michael Bay, it was a different studio, and it wasn't really well received, and it's sort of the end of all of that, so I probably wouldn't count on it making a comeback anytime soon. Though, happy to eat my words, you never know. If there's anything we know about the AAA industry, it's that they like trying to make money off of established stuff. Now, even if you do have it, like I do, you're probably going to have some issues. It is obviously an outdated build. There is some modding going on, but the game has enough issues to be a bit of a pain in the bum and kind of tarnish me memory a little bit. One thing I had was a pretty bad crash, half an hour in, 40 minutes in, some sort of memory leak. It had a pop-up trying to explain it. It was about shadows or something or other. There's no way it's my rig. It's an engine issue because it's old, basically. People on forums suggested turning graphics down to medium, which I did with my Optimus part of the video, and you can see lower res textures and put it in window mode, so there is some troubleshooting out there. But one of the big pain in the bums is the game is almost designed to be a 3-player co-op game, and it middleware handshakes with a server that doesn't exist anymore. So the multiplayer was one of those gimmick multiplayer character action type experimental things. That sort of stuff still happens in modern gaming in Steam a little bit. I think of things like Wildgate and even, oh my goodness, Highguard, right? But even when this came out bloody decades ago, it was a bit of a gimmick, and I enjoyed the multiplayer, and I played it probably for the first week at launch, right? But it's one of those things at the height of tacked on, bolt on, here's a single player game, but also there's a multiplayer mode, which you might get some value out of, but it's not, the cornerstone. It's not a multiplayer game. But the core focus would be, the fan service in the main campaign, which is a split between Decepticons and Autobots. I was just having a look at the screen. It's probably, 5 missions a piece. You start as Decepticons. You can start halfway through as Optimus sort of stepping up to fill the spot left by their leader falling. But I played the Decepticon thing for 40 minutes, and I probably got through 8 of the 10 levels or checkpoints or chapters or whatever you want to call it in the first level, and if there's 5 a piece, probably 50 checkpoints. So there's a bit of content there. There'll be a few hours there. I only remember bits and pieces, but I really like all the art design, even though I'm a Gen 1 boy at heart, right? I still regularly rewatch the 1986 Transformers movie, whatever, judge me, it's a thing I do. And I understand that sort of need, that want for an edgy, gritty Transformers, and in the scheme of things, this might be my favorite of that interpretation. Cybertron looks really, really cool, and they've gone out of the way to have you navigate it. Like in the beginning, it's much more tight corridor shooter stuff, and the flexing between vehicles is a necessity because of Transformers, but it doesn't necessarily work into the level design. But even when I just booted up, again, halfway through the entire game as Optimus, it had some pretty cool driving sections. And honestly, his start halfway through, which is probably where 90% of people played the game. Nothing against Decepticons or anything like that, but the Autobots and Optimus and Bumblebee, they're a pretty big draw. That feels like more of the actual better game. Even though I really like Megatron in this too. He's suicidal. There's something fascinating about him. Opening cutscene when they're attacking this facility, he just rams the ship in full speed and survives. It's almost meta. He almost knows he's got plot armor or behaves as such. So everyone that follows him are kind of zealots because he's a nut job, and he shoots dudes that question him, and everything is about, well, why are these injured troopers coming back? They should fight or they should die. And I kind of, like I said, there's a maniacal charisma to this interpretation of Megatron. He's usually a little bit more considered, a bit more thoughtful. No, this guy is a one-way ticket, no neck shark, only looks forward on a suicide mission constantly. I love it. So yeah, the world design, the character design, it's really cool. Again, if you're into that gritty, modern Transformer take, there's something cool about switching between the third-person shooting and the vehicles. Even though it's not quite implemented, I would argue, all anyone really wants to do is transform between the two forms, and it gets that much right. It's locked at 30 frames. The handshake thing means not only can you not play multiplayer, but you can't play co-op either. I looked around. I think you might be able to get mods to play it offline. But again, what are the odds that 3 of you and your mates all still have a Steam account with this game on it? Probably pretty low, unless you find an alternate version. The combat's interesting. It's odd. It's actually kind of tricky and difficult, but I don't know if that's necessarily out of good design and more about hiccups. Moments that come to mind are when you get locked in a room with like a shielded mini boss type dude, which I've had multiple already, and they can be quite hard to beat because it seems pretty apparent they're designed around the 3-player synergy of someone sort of tank and aggroes him away while the others hit him in behind. And AI is just not that bright here, so you don't really have that many options. So from a single player perspective, it's a little bit frustrating that you might get some fluke shots in and kill him, or you might run out of ammo because a core tenet of this game's design is having incredibly low ammo, which I still remember being frustrated by at the release. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind unconventional design. You want to can design with low ammo as part of your core ideas. That's cool, but I just don't think it never really worked that well here. You do have a melee and it's pretty lethal, and the enemies are pretty lethal too, and they're smart enough to backpedal when they see you coming at them for melee, which doesn't really synergize with this idea that you're going to probably run out of ammo in a lot of your firefights and have to, melee or use your character's abilities. You can pick from 3 characters from the narrative. Like I said, it's kind of 3-player co-op, and they have their own abilities. And as I recall, there are a whole bunch of other like character classes and types with abilities, and I think you can even make your own Transformer to a point in multiplayer, but I can't really check in on that, again, because of the server handshake that doesn't exist. And all the voice casts are in here, and they're in full form, and again, like I said, it is an absolute fan service thing. And here's my honest takeaway, at the risk of upsetting sweats, because who's looking for this video aggressively through Google? It's probably people still stuck in the past, right? Maybe you have a fleeting moment of remembrance and curiosity, or maybe you just got this suggested because, you're on my channel on the reg. Anyway, so consider, it's probably a good thing that this is left in memory. The game here is okay, but between it not being looked after and it actually having some design issues from launch, which I still remembering, right? During that open week, I was, on one side, yeah, this is great. I love Transformers. It's great. But as a core game, it's okay. And people will remember and look at it with rose-tinted glasses. And it also represents this rare commodity, this thing that is lost to us because of the delisting. Sort of value ups the idea, especially when a lot of people can't actually go back and check if it holds up because they can't access it. So I'm glad to, shout it out and have a chat, and maybe I tickle a little bit of nostalgia in you and you remember it from days past. But at the same time, honestly, the memories are fine. Leave them where they are. It's not really going to hurt that you're not going to be able to play this again. There will probably be playthroughs out there on someone's channel if you wanted to really go back and ride that lightning. And again, like I said, the visual design and the spectacle was full on AAA at the time, and even with aged graphics, I really do. I think the spectacle of the world design mixed in with the fan appeal aimed directly at Transformer fans, it's pretty awesome. It's hard not to grin. But you know, when it comes to actually playing it, there are other things I probably would rather play. And that's me just being honest as a fan, as someone who still has the build in their library. Anyway, I don't know how often I'll do these sort of things because I don't want to rub people's faces in it. The last thing we want to do is curate a negative response. This is a celebration of games at the end of the day, and for the most part it's about shouting out classics on sale to help people that maybe have a tighter budget. But you know, call this a special edition, at least in this case. Anyway, team, share your thoughts. Drop a comment. Did you play this at launch? Have you gone back and tried to play it again and had a similar experience where it's, you know, it's okay, and your memory's doing heavy lifting? Curious to hear what you have to say, especially if you're still listening at this point. You know, drop us a thumbs up, drop us a throwaway comment. You're a candidate for that because you've suffered through my video already. Anyway, team, much as leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.